Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Darts. This is episode 82 on a beautiful Friday morning. Yes, typically we do meet on, I don't know if you guys can see the little square in your monitor, but my monitor was giving me a little square. That was kind of weird. Anyway, typically we meet on Tuesdays at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But we thought we'd throw in a wonderful Friday morning episode. I get to sit down with Ryan Murray, better known as Muzz Lightyear, and have a conversation about darts, what's it's like with his new manufacturer, who happens to be Shot Darts. And Shot Darts is one of our sponsors as well. If you're new to this channel, that's right, we talk about darts. I'm your host, Matthew, and we interview darts players. We talk darts. We talk about upcoming tournaments. We have other YouTubers that talk darts and review darts on the show. We have you, our subscribers, come on the show as well from time to time and have a nice chat about darts. And occasionally we bring on another guest that might just be in a different industry just to talk again about darts as well, and the occasional manufacturer. All right, so there's a little bit about what we do, who we are. You can kind of tell in the background things are a little bit of a mess. Changing some things up here in the studio / dart hangout for the family. We have added this little TV right here. And we're adding some other things just to make it a little bit more fun out here in the darts cave. I can't say that because someone else has the darts cave. But anyway, everybody, glad that you are here. And again, get the opportunity to hang out with Ryan Murray this past weekend. This interview was done. He was getting ready to leave for Super Series, which is currently going on. Today is the last day of Super Series. Yesterday, he did very well, getting into round 3. Hopefully today he will progress beyond that. Maybe get to quarterfinals, maybe semifinals, maybe finals. Don't know. We'll have to check in on that a little bit later. But let's get into our interview with Ryan Murray. But before we do that, I do want to thank my sponsors. Of course, Shot Darts, who makes, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful barrels. They're like pieces of artwork that we literally get to play with. It's awesome stuff. They've got a number of new barrels coming out, which I'm excited to see when those come out. Of course, we have some new player barrels because they have signed a number of new players, and then they've just adding some stuff to their current lineup with some really nice new designs. So look for those in the next couple of months. And I also want to thank Gen Mount and Magicwear jerseys. They got that covered. They do some really incredible work over there. They've got off the rack, semi-custom, full custom. Of course, they do team jerseys. So for all your jersey needs and some of the most comfortable jerseys on the market, check out Magicwear. And I also want to thank Condor Flights and Shafts, which make the Axe system, which is what I currently play. They also are a sponsor. And of course, Atomic Darts sponsors Coffee and Darts. So you can always check out Atomic Darts and pick up your set of the B52 barrel. Comes in 21 gram and 20 gram in soft tip. So, all right, guys, let's get into the interview. Let me cue it up here. And we will have a nice little conversation with Ryan Murray, again, better known as Muzz Lightyear. But it was a fun conversation that I got to have with him. Another Scotsman. If you did miss this past Tuesday, I got to sit down and do a girls' power hour. We've got another one of those coming up where we've pulled in some wonderful American or North American players to chat about what it's like in the game from a women's perspective in North America. All right, let me pull this file up here. Ryan, where did you go? Oh, there you are. All right, so sit back, enjoy. All right, everyone. Well, thank you, for joining Coffee and Darts this morning. And again, we've got Ryan Murray on. I'm super excited to have him on. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It'd be nice and early for you guys there, but the afternoon here in Scotland, and it's a little sunshine today, which is good for us.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Scottish, so I did one of those ancestry things. I'm Irish and Scottish predominantly, I think more Irish than Scottish, sorry. But I'm a Buchanan, done the history thing. And I love Scotland. I haven't gotten there, hoping that, you know, when everything dies down, I can get out that way. But I love the stuff there. My son's been there, and so very, you know, I love talking to the Scots big time. That's kind of my thing.
That is nice. Yeah.
So don't have my Scottish hat on. I actually have a Scottish hat, and I didn't wear it today. My apologies. So
yeah, you should have.
So the Scots have been, not to get into the whole, you know, like different country thing, but the Scots have been doing well. There was I just blanked on his name, the fireman that did really well at the UK Open.
Alan Stewart.
Yeah, yeah, he did really well. Played well, and of course, you know, a couple years ago, you guys won the World Cup, so it's been a good couple years.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan's been playing very well since he's obviously got his card this year, and he always had been a good player. There's no doubt about that. But he's definitely, you know, making his mark on the tour already. So, you know, well done to him.
Yeah, you could say he's on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Not making any fireman puns. Yeah. So, but he's not on the show, Ryan. You're on the show, and I understand that you recently signed with Shot, and you're working on your barrel with the team over there with Emma and the team at Shot Darts. What's that been like? And congratulations on signing with them.
Yeah, thanks. It's been different because I've never done this process before with having a darts company to sponsor me and help with darts. I'd always been looking for somebody for a while, but I hadn't really. Nobody had approached me. I did contact a couple of companies, not really for sponsorship, but to maybe help with my barrel design. But you know, I can understand a lot of them are busy, and if you're not high up the rankings, then it is difficult to, you know, get into that you know, area with the company to help you design your darts. You know, a lot of the time they're putting their effort and time into people who's higher up the rankings, which is understandable. So, but when Shot Darts approached me, I was really happy to, you know, have a company like Shot to sponsor me and help out with the barrels and you know just all accessories and stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. A lot of players come into, at least here in America, as darts is growing. You know, we have the likes of Danny over there that's got his PDC card. But as people get into it, they kind of have this attitude like, oh, I'm just going to go find a sponsor and then I'm going to become this great darts player. It's interesting to hear someone who's there, you know, over, you know, in the world of the PDC and playing in these tournaments and having that opportunity, still struggling. Like, sponsors just don't fall off trees all day long. It's not like this, you know, they're just there.
Yeah, so I think it's been quite good that I had quite a good year last year. So I think that obviously helped as well with the sponsorship. You know, I was progressing up the ladder. I think I'm maybe 68th or something in the world at the moment. I know obviously a few people have come out to go back to Q school, etc. But I'm up there, and I'm fighting to stay in the top 64 now this year, and Shots I've seen, well, I hope they've seen out that I've had a good year and probably thought, yeah, we'll take a chance on this lad and we'll go from there. So yeah, thankful with them.
Yeah, and they're good people. So I know Peter over there and the team is very interested in finding players that really love the game and enjoy the sport. So just out of curiosity, what you're designing a barrel with them, what's that process been like? You know, I designed a barrel with them. I was lucky enough to do that. But what's it been like for you? Are you getting samples back and forth, or how's that working?
So I've only maybe been with them in regards to maybe a month now, since I've signed obviously the contract with them. So we are in designs. I'm in designs with one of the guys called Luke. He is like the graphic designer for doing the barrel and designing the barrels, etc. So yeah, we've been sending designs back and forward with each other and saying, yeah, we'll go for this, we'll go for that. Let's take this out. And next week we put something together. So hopefully next week the first prototype comes over, and then we take it from there. You know, it might come over, I might love it, I might say, oh no, this isn't for me, let's change this. You know, as I said, I've never been through this process before, so this is all new to me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, but again, it's first time for you. Like, what's it like when you get a prototype? You know, what are you looking for in it? But it hasn't happened for you until this point. So maybe we'll have to have you back on at some point and find out what the process has been like. Yeah. I'm always curious. I for me, I was really lucky in my design. I just took aspects from other barrels and said, I really like the feel of this. Let's throw it into the barrel. And we were able to make it happen really
so
quick.
That's basically what happened. They sent 3 sets of darts with what I'm looking for. I've got a set of darts here. That these are just a spare set sitting about, but I kind of hold the dart right at the back here of the barrel. So when I hold it, I need some grip at the back of the barrel. So right now mines are pretty smooth, and obviously with wear and tear they get smoother. So they sent 3 sets of darts over with their best grip and said, have a look at these, what do you think? We'll go from there. So one of the grips I really liked, let's add that to the prototype. Now at the front of the dart, it's just visual for me because I only rest one of my fingers on the barrel. So I've said, you put your design on the front, I'll put mine on the back. We'll come and go with each other, and then whatever sells great as well with shots and perfect. But it's all about making sure what's right for me as well. So we've added a really good grip at the back of the dart, and hopefully that helps because I'm using a lot of that, the Simon Whitlock powder, the Wizard stuff, to get a good grip on my hands. Because my barrel is quite smooth, I do have a lot of darts that stray into 5s and 1s, like they're slipping out my hands. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's just excuses, but it actually does happen, and hopefully that grip determines to get a better throw on the dart and not slipping out my hand. So that's the idea behind it. But again, we'll have to see when it comes over to see what it's like.
Yeah. Well, I will say, looking at a lot of the shot barrels over the years and having the opportunity to touch most of them and review them, they are good at doing grip. I will say some of their barrels have some intense grip. So that's good. I'm thinking like of the Joe Cheneys. They had a lot of rear grip and no grip at the front. It was a smooth barrel at the front. So I think you're with a good team that's going to be able to design something for you. Darts, everybody wants to know, like, how do people get into darts and what's that like? So what was the journey for you? Did you start as a young kid? Were you a teenager? Were you in your 20s? We don't want to say exactly how old you are, but you're not 40 and you're not 20. So what was the journey like for you?
So basically, we on a Thursday night, me and a lot of my friends, and maybe between 10 and 15 of us used to meet up on a Thursday night, and we'd meet in somebody's house, whether it be mine, one of the friends, and we'd have a competition for like £1 a head, and we'd do like the winner takes all, and we used to play every Thursday night without any fail, and it just started from there. And one of my friends played a lot of darts, and he said a bit more than me, like pub darts or whatever, and he had said, do you fancy coming joining the team on a Friday night? And I was like, aye, that'd be fine. So we went along and I joined the team, and like one of the teams we first played was probably the best in the league at the time. I played a guy called Mike Veach, which was like one of the top Scotland guys. He was playing for Scotland, and I remember playing him. And now I hit a 180 a month, and I thought, I'm brilliant at this game because I can hit a 180. Just one a month. I thought I was great. So anyway, they said, you've got this chap tonight, Mike Veach, and I was just like, yeah, okay. We're playing the Roses tonight. I was like, yeah, okay. Didn't know who they were, but everybody knew they were the best team. He was the best player. I remember playing him, and it was double start, and I remember him going, I think it was 156 in, double in, 156, 180, a ton plus, and then he checked out. I just checked in, and then he checked out. And I thought, that's great. I want to do that. That's what I want to play like all the time. And I think that just got me into it a lot more and started playing, started joining a better team with a lot of other Scotland caps and that in there, and started going to local competitions at weekends. And just onto the development tour. I think I played 1 year when it was like under 25s, we'll call it a development tour. But it was good. I played in that 1 year and then started to go to Q school, come close a couple of times, and finally, last January, finally got my card. So, second year of it already. It's going quick.
Yeah, it does. It goes by pretty quick, and making sure you're in the right place in the standings so that Q school's either easy for you or you don't have to go to Q school is the challenge. It's those first 2 years. That's exciting. So you kind of just you've been playing for some time, and then really decided to go after it and put the time and effort in that it took. I know that you've got a family. what was it like with having a family? I mean, was this something that you went home and said, hey, I want to try and become a professional darts player? And honestly, darts is totally different in your side of the world, you know, the countries over there versus here. Like here, if someone comes home and says, hey, I want to be a professional darts player, their spouse or whoever, their significant other just goes, okay, whatever. You're like, well, sure, you want to, you know, that's like, you know, trying to throw a beanbag through a hole and saying, I want to be a pro at that.
Yeah.
At least here, still, it's, you know, it's growing. Over there, that's like saying you want to be a baseball player. Here, I want to turn pro. Everybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
What was it like, you know, at home? Was that, you know, like, yeah, let's do it? Or, I mean, I'm just curious what it was like.
Obviously, as I was just saying, like, we're playing local competitions every week. At the time, before I become a professional darts player, I only started driving like a year in November past. So I've only been about a year and a half driving. So my partner, Danielle, she's been fantastic. Any competition I would go to, and she used to play darts as well, which helped. She started playing after she met me, which was good, and we'd play mixed pairs and whatever else. And she always was like, sometimes if I wasn't entered into a competition at the weekend, she would say, right, we're going to that competition, we're going to that one. So she was always pushing as well, which is quite good. She was pushing me to, you always go to tournaments and try and get better. And I think the kids, because the kids are quite young still, they don't physically understand the whole purpose of it. But like my daughter who's 16, she understands it a bit more, and she understands I've got to go away and all that, you know, and play like during the week and that. Now it's all changed obviously with the COVID, so we're playing a lot more during weeks and a lot longer away rather than, you know, 2.5 days. We're now like 5, 6, 7 days. We're getting tested, so it is a bit longer away from home. But as I said, like at home, my family's always pushing me to do better. Like right now, I'm in my dad's spare bedroom. This is where the darts area is set up, so I practice at his like as much as I can. He's got me up every week. He doesn't give me a break. You know, he'll not give me 5 minutes. We start the next game, you know. So my family are really supportive through it, and they understand it, and it's good. You know, as I said, my partner, she drives me absolutely everywhere, and she would be at the darts on Tuesday down at the PDC Pro Tours. If we could get guests in, she would be there because she loves it that much.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. Yeah, it's I'm always curious about that because here, you know, darts, you know, like my wife's like, yeah, go ahead and play darts, and she doesn't have a major issue with me playing. You know, and of course we play at home now, so behind me is kind of like, you know, my setup kind of, it's a mess right now. But you know, so I've had some support, but I'm not turning pro anytime soon. So you know, I just always find it interesting, you know, how much the family is a part of that, because I talk to a lot of players that are younger players that are like, I want to make it. I want to be, you know, in the top 64. I want to be this. And it's like, well, you know, that's always the question. What's the support staff like? So good to hear that you've got great support. Yeah. You brought up that your dad's pushing you to play. What, like, do you have a practice routine? Are you practicing daily? What's, you know, kind of what's that like?
So practice every day. It's pretty much every day. I maybe have 1 day off a week, unless I'm obviously traveling, you know, to go to darts. But I practice every night of the week. I'll probably come up between like 7 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little earlier, but I usually do minimum 3 hours. Sometimes it could be a bit more, but mostly like a 3 hour period per day. And I'm on furlough at the moment, but it is quite difficult, like, because I've still got a full-time job, so I'm like working all day and then having to get home, see the kids, and then we have tea, and then it's like, right, I'm away out to practice, and then I'm home at 10:30 at night, and then I'm then into bed for work the next game day. Obviously with furlough just now, so obviously just dealing with the kids, etc. But my dad's always pushing me to practice more, and you know, we do different things. So sometimes we'll have like a night where we're just doing games against the computer at a high level. We'll play that the whole night. Next night we'll do some, you know, some fun games or whatever, doing checkouts or setting, you know, half the games, or just setting wee silly games that we make up, and then it's good for practice, and it doesn't put that much pressure on you where you've got to practice hard every night. You kind of, as long as you're enjoying it, and if you're enjoying it, a good happy player is a good player. Do you know what I mean? And if you're enjoying it, and I think that's what keeps me going. The variety of stuff we do.
Yeah, my son and I have this game called the Cereal Challenge, where I tack a piece of cereal onto the dartboard, like a little Cheerio or some kind of little. I use a little nail, and then we throw to try and hit the piece of cereal because it explodes and it makes a big mess. And he's actually pretty decent at 7 years old at being able to hit the piece of cereal. He's pretty. That's kind of like a big thing for him. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe that would be a messy, fun, practice routine. Is putting cereals on the dartboard. Maybe not. So, well, it sounds like you're getting your practice in. You've got the support team going with it, which is really great. You brought up, being a happy player, and I want to dive into some of the experiences you've had, so far on the PDC. What it's been like. And I know, you've played, you beat Stephen Bunting, which was a big, kind of, a thing at the time. Stephen's really has his ups and downs. He is a world champion. And, like this year, he did really well at the world championship. And, he's had a little bit of off time since then. But you played MVG recently. And again, I'm a huge fan of MVG. Love the guy. I think he's been great for darts. But in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think he's happy not being number one. I think he's more happy with just dealing with the family. I think when he's at the Aki, he still wants to win. I think it's there, but I think in that mental aspect, maybe he's not as happy. What's your thoughts on MVG? It looks like players who used to be afraid of him, nobody fears MVG anymore. And I hate to say that, but what's the consensus there? Because you're in the back room. I mean, you're playing with these guys.
Yeah. So I think like, we were actually talking about this last night with my dad, and we were saying that because he's not, ruling things now, he's not number one, and he's not, winning 5, 6, 7, 8 tournaments in a row. There's a variety of winners now, and I think that's a case of everybody playing well, maybe him not playing as well as he can be or consistently. But as you said yourself, I think a lot of people know he's beatable. They know he's beatable, so they're just playing him as another player. They're playing the board, and if he's there, then he's there. They're not caring, and maybe a lot of new people might have to do the same. Including myself sometimes. Like maybe the first year I was like, "Oh, this is great. I'm playing him," but I should just think of it as another game and get on with it and play the board and win my games and get through. But I think since he has had the family, I don't think he's maybe been putting enough hours in on the board, or as you said, spending a lot of time with family is a major thing. He's done everything, so maybe he wants to spend a bit more time with the family, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So I don't know. Will he be back to world number one? I'll probably say yeah at some point. When, I don't know. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I figure, give him a couple of years. His kids will get a little bit older. They're young right now. It's that time when you want to spend time with your kids. And I don't blame him for this at all, and I'm not like, oh my gosh, MVG's done. I just think, it's a time in his life. It's a time in his family's life where he's thinking a little bit more spending time with them. And he's not the MVG that would literally step on your neck and kill you to win the tournament. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't, I never say any of this, like where I'm attacking him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great darts player. But for years, if you were playing MVG, it didn't matter who you were. There was a fear level that you were going to lose. You almost went into the match assuming that you lost. Look at Peter Wright, great darts player, great guy. I got to spend time with him in Vegas when they played out here a couple of years ago. He had this aura that he couldn't beat MVG. And, he finally got over that at the World Championships, which was great for the Scots because, of course, getting a World Championship. Yeah. But I think that, is there someone else on tour now that people look to they're like, maybe I don't want to play him, or is it just tournament by tournament, whoever's really super hot at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I think you could probably go to a pro tour and say, I would like to play X, Y, and Z today. You know, they're not the greatest players here, but those players, they can go up and throw 100 average first game, and before you know it, you're back to the hotel room. Because sometimes everybody who's there can throw 100 averages. There's no doubt about that. But it's doing it consistently and being in the high 90s to win tournaments, and it only takes that one person to have that great first game in the first round to put you out, and then you're away home. But as you said, whoever's hot on that day, like right now, Johnny Clayton, Joe Cullen, they two are playing fantastic. Devin Peterson's playing fantastic, and I think it's all down to having a lot of self-belief. That's the most important thing in darts, and they believe they can do it. And I think, like Joe Cullen, he just doesn't play with a care in the world. You know, he's like, you know, I can play this game. This game's great. He plays away and he just gets on with it, and he goes on and he wins games and he wins tournaments, and so fair play to him. The guys. I think the self-belief is the most important thing. Everybody can play darts. It's having that confidence that you're going to win that tournament.
Yeah. What do you think about James Wade winning basically a major over the last 3 decades, winning tournaments for, over the last 3 decades, and of course, winning the UK Open? He's never been the highest average player, but his doubles are phenomenal. His outshots are unmatched, in my opinion, when I've watched him play. But I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think you've got 30 years in you to play darts and be at that top level?
I would like to think so. Maybe not as many as 30 years, but definitely, 20 years or something at least would be great to playing at that level. There is. I think the thing is as well is like, it doesn't matter what age you are, and I think, I'm not saying De Souza is so old, but he's come in an older chap, and he's won, I think it was Grand Slam he had won, and it just shows you it doesn't matter what age you are, you can still win tournaments at whatever age you are. So anybody can play darts at any age, any level. It's getting to that top stage, like right now on the tour, that you want to be competing at. And go on. And the thing is with James Wade is, for 30 years, he's always been doing the right thing at the right times. 250, he'd leave a finish like under a ton. Whatever he had, 201, he'd hit something big to leave a 60 or a 65 or 57, whatever. He hits the right scores at the right times, and that's what hurts a lot of people. And I think that's the reason he is where he is, and he keeps going, and he'll keep going for another 10, 20, 30 years. That's his special.
Yeah, I think he'll continue to do well, and it's interesting. I'm sure if you look at the stats, someone's got to have him out there. He's not the big heavy hitter. He's not hitting a ton 80 consistently. He's not hitting ton 40s consistently. But when it comes down to it, if he's got a ton 32 or whatever left, he's more than likely going to hit that out.
Absolutely.
Which is phenomenal. It's one of the things I like about him. Of course, he is the machine. It's a great nickname for him. It is how he plays. Speaking of nicknames, so Muzz Lightyear is your nickname. I'm curious how that came about.
So I was called Top Gun for a long time. It was the guy on the Monday Night Darts had named me that, and it was up on his website, etc. And it had always sort of stayed with me. And I got shirts done, and the chaps at the table, like in my stable, had said, "We need to get you a good nickname. Now you're on the tour, you need to get a really good nickname that stands out, sticks out to everybody. What will we do?" And I said, "I'm terrible at nicknames. I'll let you guys decide." So I went away and played my game, come back, and he says, "Right, we've got it. We're going to," because I'm Murray, I used to get called Muzz or Muzzer at home. So they had said, "What about Muzz Lightyear? They've got a bit of the square chin, and I drew like the wee sort of, hair he's got on him one night, and all the boys were laughing. It was a great laugh, and said, "Right, that's what we'll go with, Muzz Lightyear." Got the shirts done with it on, the designs done, and I think it's out there now. It's I've had a lot of people message me say, "My kid loves you, he loves the design, the t-shirts are great," and that's what it's all about. And for the kids and that, it's good.
Yeah, no, I like the name too, and my kids think it's great. So, and I'm a big Toy Story fan, the original one. So I really like, that just having that characteristic there, and it fits well for you. So, we haven't hung out or spent a lot of time chatting, but you seem to have a good personality, kind of like that character. So I like that. Getting back to PDC play, and of course, when you first got your tour card or first, got into things, it was open. You went to tournaments. You actually saw people, like crowds and things of that nature. And of course, this last year, it's been quiet as far as there's no crowds there. What's the transition been like? What's it, it's been a year now almost. What's the feel like at a tournament? Like you're getting ready to do Super Series again. What do you expect when you get there? Are just all of you guys stuck in a hotel together? How's it play out?
Yeah, so obviously when we go, we get tested the day before. So we'll get tested with a COVID test. Whoever doesn't pass gets sent home, obviously. And then the rest of us, we're in a bubble. So we're in the hotel, we're into the venue. We'll be allowed to go for breakfast in the morning. All the social distancing is in place. We've got to wear our masks when we're going to and from the boards, to and from the hotel rooms. Just all the sensible stuff in place. But yeah, as soon as we're tested, we're allowed to be with each other, and it's good to see people, because obviously, like I'm like, my bubble at the moment is obviously my own family, my dad, and I'm on furlough at the moment. Sometimes I'll nip into work and send a shirt out to somebody. They'll post it out for me. So that's kind of like my bubble at the moment. So it is quite nice to go down and see friends and see other people and get a chat, and it's good to just be out the house for a bit as well. Because obviously here in Scotland, we're still on lockdown at the moment as well, so taking a bit longer than we first thought.
Yeah, it's interesting because I haven't felt a huge. There was a time period, like about a month or so, that it felt eerie. Like I would go out of the house and I would drive, because what I was doing for work still allowed me to leave the house, and so I was out of the house almost every single day. And it was eerie because like the roads were quieter. Stores were quieter. And, I remember that feeling about a year ago, for about a month. And then people around here just kind of started trickling back out. And it's almost been like it's normal in the sense of whatever normal is for probably the last 6 to 7 months. So I hear people talking about, oh, we're still in lockdown. And, like, this is the air. And I'm like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because I never had to experience it that way. Like I never was stuck in my house for a week. Like I begged for it. It's weird, but I was like, I want to have that alone time where I could just watch TV for a week. But with my job, it was like, no, you work 20, it's your deal. So I'm always interested when I hear that. So you guys get together, you're kind of stuck in the hotel. It's a bunch of darts players hanging out. I assume you have probably a handful of friends that you guys spend time together. You like when you go to practice and stuff, it's like you guys kind of hang out. Is that happen a lot in the back room, or do players just kind of rotate around and play and practice other players, or do you see that specific players kind of hang out?
Yeah, so you have the groups of people, and there will be a handful of people that will go around on each board and join in with other people, but most majority of times you'll have your individual groups. Like, when we go for a practice, it's usually myself, Pierre Jakes, Nathan Aspinall, Andy Bolton. We'll do checkouts and games of stuff and whatever. That's kind of our wee group of people. A group that stands out quite a lot is obviously Michael Van Gerwen, Van de Voort, diving board, these kind of guys. There is groups of people around the hall that they kind of stick with that, and you will see the odd, I say straggler, but like a different, somebody different from their group of people in with them, and that's kind of how it is, like all the time.
Yeah. So to bring in another, a great Scott, in Peter Wright, like I remember him talking about how he would go to tournaments and like nobody wanted to practice with him. He kind of had his little piece of a dartboard and he would just hang out by himself. Do you see that with certain players? Or, are there players that are kind of dealing with that? Or has everybody kind of gelled to some degree and kind of have people to play with?
To be honest, I haven't noticed. The reason I probably haven't noticed because I'm not there to have a look for that. You know, I'm not saying, oh, he's on his own or whatever. I'm there getting in the zone. I'm getting ready to play darts for that day. So that doesn't really come into my mind. But I just kind of go down and, you know, when I go down to it, like if they're already in the hall practicing, then I'll go down and the first thing I do is look for them. You know, like the guys, Nathan and Andy and Peter, I'll go and find them what board they're on and then join in whatever they're doing. And then you know, as you say, like you're saying, is there anybody on their own? But I don't really notice. You know, you will get people who are still in groups, but if they see an empty board, they'll go away to try and get those few extra darts in rather than waiting 3 or 4 people. They'll go away to get a few more darts in on that board when they're on their own. And I kind of do the same thing myself, to be honest, but not seeing anybody like who sticks out thinking, you know, he's on his own like all the time. I should go over and say something, but I am. And Chris Dobie was somebody who was great with me when I first joined, and even when I went for breakfast, he would be like, "Oh, you're here on your own," and I'd be like, "Oh no, I'm waiting on this guy come in," and he'd be like, "Right, no worries, we're over there if you want to sit with us." And he was always great. The European ones that I qualified for, and I actually had Chris in the first round, and he was like, "Oh, you're here on your own, Ryan?" I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Come and sit with me," and I'm playing Chris in the first round, and he was such a great guy, Chris. You know, he's helped me a lot in it.
So it really does show that, you know, there's a family to darts. There's this camaraderie within the darts, and then when you get to the Aki, you know, you're game on. It's time to play, but you're playing darts and you're having fun doing it. Now it is it's your bread and butter. It's you know, it's paying the bills. You know, for most guys, it's a job, but at the same time, there's the community within the body of darts, and when you guys are off the Aki, you get to hang out and kind of, you know, be friends. But when you're on the Aki, it's like, hey man, sorry, I got to beat you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, you want to be, you know, I would like to say everybody's friends here or they know each other. You know, some people don't get on with other people and it's understandable. But most of the people talk to each other when they're away from the dartboards. But again, you know, you want to beat everybody. Nobody's your friend when you're up on the Aki. You want to obviously beat everybody. You know, you're there to make money, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's sport, and that's the way it kind of should be. You know, you're good sports off the, you know, Aki or field or whatever it may be for you, but when it comes to time to play, you got to play. I'm curious. So Gerwin Price, of course, you know, there's all the stuff around him and people that there's supposed hatred of this guy because he's just, you know, kind of a jerk and all that. But everything I've seen outside of, you know, the incident that particularly happened with the Flying Scotsman and in that situation. But outside of that, he seems like a really nice guy. Have you had opportunity to talk with him or, you know, bump into him?
Not physically, like individually speak with him. He has been in a group of people when I've been in that group as well. And again, he seems fine off the Aki. You know, maybe on the Aki, he maybe, you know, overdo it a little, but he's passionate about the game and, you know, he wants to win, and you know, I don't blame him for what he does. But you know, maybe over the top a tad. But you know, that's the way he is. And you know, off the Aki, he seems a really nice guy. As I said, I've not spoke to him, you know, face to face, but he has been in a group of people, and he always seems to have a good crack and a good laugh. So you know, and that's good.
Yeah, I mean, and I know a lot of people kind of get on him a little bit for some of his antics, but the truth is he's the world #1 and he's world champion. Does that mean that you do a bunch of antics to get there? I don't think the antics are what got him there. I think it's his game, it's his practice, it's his desire to be #1. The antics are just like an offshoot. It's just something he does.
Yeah. Absolutely. Every player, you could watch every player and people will say he does this and does this, but I guarantee you, if you were to watch back over, you know, months, years, every player's done it. Every player shouted on stage and cheered and whatever. And if you physically don't do it, then you have something to moan about. If you do it yourself, don't moan. Just get on with the game of darts. And at the end of the day, as well, you know, he's not #1 in the world because he shouts aloud. This he's #1 in the world because he throws his darts and he puts the effort in. And, you know, he's a good player, and that's it. You know, he gets on with the game.
Yeah, and I'm not that I want to sit on, he is number one in the world, so talking about him is not the worst thing. But for someone who's been in darts essentially 6 full years, roughly, to get the world number one and world champion all at the same time, which kind of made that a little bit more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Does that inspiring to the younger players or the players like yourself who, are fairly new to the tour, to see someone that, arguably a good darts player to get his PDC card, but to be able to draw it out and within a short amount of time receive, basically the top of the sport?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be saying, like, probably not saying if he can do it, we can do it, but that opportunity is there for anybody who, as you think, Gerwin had never played really darts in his life. He's just came onto the scene in the last 6-7 years. He's done brilliant. He is world number one. Rob Cross came in a year, 2 years, I think he was a world champion, not world number one, but he's done it probably in maybe a quicker time of getting his card. So I think anybody can do it. They've got, as again, the self-belief has got to be there to do that. And even, like Alan Stewart, who we talked about at the start, like, he's going in the right direction. You get right up there, and whether he's with champion or world number one, whatever. But he keeps going the way he's going. He'll definitely be in top 32, pushing top 16, I would say, because he is playing very well.
What's kind of your mental push to get to that? So I know, like Matt Edgar, he's got this plan in place. He's talked about it a number of times. Like, okay, I want to get at the top 64. Then I want to get to the top 32. He's got this like 7-year, 8-year plan that he has to get there. Do you, not that I want to pick on Matt, but is that the best mentality, or maybe it's different for each person? Do you have the mentality of like, hey, I'm going to get to the top 16. I'm going to get to the top 6. Premier League is what I'm shooting for. I mean, do you have specific goals that you're shooting at, or? Yeah,
this year, I was saying to my partner, I'd love to be in the top 40. That would be my aim this year, to get up there. I've not started the season off great. I've not played well. I've not played bad, but I've pushed Dimitri, 5-2 up on Barney and lost the game, and I'm playing okay, but not great. I need to obviously play better. But definitely, I would say, obviously, I need to stay in the top 64 this year to keep my card. But I think my aim this year would be probably top 40, anywhere in the top 40. I'd be quite happy with that. I think, obviously, Matt, a 7-8 year, maybe a bit overthinking things. But, personally myself, I'm probably a year guy, so obviously, like this year, it's obviously top 40, and then probably push to whatever next year. It depends how this season goes. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess it does. You've got to set some parameters for your season, and that would be like really any sport. And I kind of bring that up for those that watch and are curious. Like like when I go into a league play. And I go into our season, we have like 3 seasons. I'm always trying to set a goal to be, ranked in a specific spot, or to hit a certain number of like 180s, to hit the most 180s, or, to have my average be at a specific spot throughout the league. I'm always trying to set those goals. But it's funny, I talk to some professional players and they're like, no, I just go to each tournament and like I take it tournament to tournament. I don't think about the next tournament or the season or the year. Like, I'm just there to play the tournament and that's it. And I always find it interesting when I talk to players like yourself that are like, yeah, like I've got some kind of goal. What brings about the goal? Like you said, you want to be in the top 40. So is that just kind of, I just want to be in the top 40 as long, it doesn't matter how I get there? Are there specific tournaments that you shoot for and say, okay, if I do well in these 4 or 5 tournaments, I know that I'm going to make enough money to put myself into the top 40?
But I've not really had to think about that to say, what tournaments I'm going to be in. Obviously, there's a race table for certain events, certain TV events that, you have to do well, earn money to get in there. I'm not too far off these TV events. 4, 5, 6 grand at the most. But I've got to still learn that through the Pro Tours, and so the Pro Tours are a massive part of the season. But I haven't had a thing to say, right, if I can earn £5,000 in the UK Open, then that's great. That was my aim. I think it's just a case of, again, getting there, playing as well as I can when I'm at the tournaments, and earning as much as I can when I'm there. I don't put that pressure on myself to be like, it might come to a stage where I'm like, I need £500 to get into a tournament. I don't want to then be going for that double, thinking this is for £500. And then missing 3 darts at that double. I don't put myself under that sort of pressure. I'll just think, go on the tournament, play as well as I can be. A great example was the Winter Series last year. I wasn't in the Players, I wasn't in the Worlds until I played that Winter Series. But my aim was to go into the Winter Series and just play darts. I said, what will be if I just go and play darts and I just take it as it is. And then I might earn enough money that will get me into it was actually just the Worlds at the time. I think I had earned £5,000-6,000 over the few days, and that got me into the Players Championships and the World Championships. And I think my aim was just, go down there and just play darts. If you get beat, you get beat. Play well, but if you win, then go to the next game. And I think my best run was like the quarterfinals or something one of the days, and a few board finals, and I was just happy to pick up a few pounds to get me into other tournaments. That helped a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting to have that kind of mindset of, hey, I'm just going to go to the tournament, do my best, and see where it lays. I know that there are players that watch the numbers drastically, and they're like, okay, I picked up this much money this tournament, okay, or today, and tomorrow I need to pick up this much, and they're worried about that. In your opinion, do the players that are worried about that dollar amount, do they tend to play a little bit not as good? That's good English there, versus the players that are like, hey, I'm here to play this one, match right now, and I'll get to the next match.
I watch people, again, going back to the Winter Series, because obviously the last Pro Tours of the year, and I could hear people speaking, saying, if I don't do this, I'm back at Q-School, I'm not qualifying for the Worlds. And I thought, you shouldn't have that mindset to be thinking that, because that's in your head as soon as you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I have to win 2 games to win £1,000 to get me in the Worlds or get me this. And I think that put a lot of pressure on people, and probably maybe rowdy is not the right word, but it was a bit rowdy the last few days. People wanting to win games and make sure they were in, and people was losing their cards, and people haven't gained their cards back because Q-School is getting so difficult now. But yeah, I don't think people should be thinking, I must, be watching the numbers to say I must do this, because that's so much. You shouldn't put that pressure on yourself. Play darts, your ability will show, you'll do well.
So the mental game does play a big piece, even when you get to the level where you guys are at as pro sports. And we always know that the mental level is there, but it's still, even from the littlest aspect, because a lot of pub players or, players like myself, we allow the mental aspect when we're just playing for fun to screw us up. I've played people where I'm like, I should be beating you hands down. I'm a much better darts player, and yet I'm losing horribly, and that gets in my head. And I start getting mad at myself for throwing, a 26. And it's like, why did you throw a 26? You shouldn't be doing that. So it's interesting to hear, from a pro perspective, that guys still get in their head in a bad way. It's not always the positive way. So
yeah, absolutely. It's just, I always remember playing, like league darts and stuff. And again, when you're saying I should be beating this guy hands down, and then that plays on your mind, and before you know it, you've lost the game. And I always remember going to local tournaments and people saying, you've got Joe Bloggs in the first game, he is the worst player here. You'll beat him, no bother. And then you go up, and before you know it, you're 2-2 with him, and it's the best of 5. And then the pressure's on the last leg, because you start thinking, all the guys say that he's the worst player in here, I should be beating him, and then you're throwing, as you said, 26s, you're throwing all over the place. Again, you shouldn't be thinking that. He's another player there to play darts to try and win that tournament. He's not there to make the numbers up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the mental aspect of the game. I think, is that talked about? I guess that's a question. Is that talked about in the back room? Do you guys talk about like mental management, kind of designing the idea of how to deal with the mental aspect of the game?
No, nobody spoke to me about it. I haven't spoke to anybody. I haven't heard anybody in my stable speaking about it at the table. Maybe other stables, other players. I don't know. It's a question that I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. We haven't. So, and I haven't.
It's interesting, because I used to shoot a lot of archery, and I live close to the Olympic Training Center. I'm about an hour and 20 minutes away from the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista, where they shoot Olympic archery. And I used to shoot that discipline, and it's talked about a ton in that, in archery, as far as the mental aspect. And there's a gentleman named Laney Banish. I'm trying to remember his name exactly. He has a thing called mental management coaching, and he talks about it. I'm going to send you his book. I'll get your address, offline, and I'll send you his book. It's really interesting, because he talks about it from a shooting perspective, Olympic shooting, and then Olympic archery. But I think it plays into the darts community really, really well, having the mental aspect and having that focus. It's interesting, because I've talked to a couple darts players that say, oh yeah, we talk about it. It's part of our thing, is the mental aspect. And these are US players that I've talked to that have said that. Some of the UK players that I've talked to, only one of them has actually said, yeah, I think about the mental game, and that's part of my preparation. So I'll send you the book. Maybe it'll help. I don't know. I think it's an interesting aspect.
My partner's cousin, he's a professional golfer, and he was always, there about on the edge of winning tournaments, or winning a tournament after a couple of days. And then I think he had went and seen a psychiatrist, and well, now he's won a few tournaments, so maybe that's helped. And not saying I need to go and see one, or any of the other players need to see one, but it might just be something that it might help, just boost your confidence, or give you that extra advantage. Maybe I don't know. I've never been through that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everything, it's almost like when you get to a specific level, you're willing to try things to get that little bit of an advantage, an edge over your opponent. And honestly, in darts, the opponent is much more yourself than the guy you're playing, because just because he hits a 180 doesn't mean you can't come and hit a 180. Mm-hmm. It's almost, when you get to the pro levels, it's like whoever makes that small mistake, and the person that can pounce on that small mistake is going to be the guy that overcomes and wins. But I'll send you his book. I think it's an interesting book. He talks about sitting and visually watching yourself shoot the bow or shoot the gun. And in darts, it would be, visualize yourself standing at the Aki and throwing 180s, throwing the outs you want. The big fishes and the different things that are attainable. So it's just an interesting prospect, or something I just thought I'd throw out there.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's fantastic.
You brought up playing RVB. What's your take on him coming back? Is this an exciting thing? I mean, are people talking about it, or was it just kind of like, oh, Barney's coming back? Okay, no big deal. I mean, what was it like in the back room with him coming back?
I think it was just the same. Again, I think he was just treated like another player coming back from Q school. A lot of people say, he'll not be the player he was. Don't get me wrong, he's very talented. He can still play darts, and he still got it, as he won a pro tour, and I'm just going to say that was down to me letting him win to boost his confidence. So he's went on and won. So he can split the money with me. But no, he's back now, and he is playing well, and I think he will get better. I don't think he'll be up at where he used to be, but that might just be a confidence thing just now. Don't want to put so much pressure on himself to feel like, oh, I need to get up there straight away. But, you know, he's had a great start to the season by winning a Pro Tour and picking up a few extra pounds. But again, run into Suter, who's playing fantastic just now. But, you know, I've just got to, you know, focus on my own game and make sure when I am, you know, 5-2 up or 5-all that I'm finishing the game off, and rather than, you know, thinking about losing the game or whatever I do when I'm there. But again, mental side of it might come into place, and hopefully something can help.
Do you think Phil Taylor's going to come back now?
I don't know. It's hard to say. You know, it is hard to say, but I think if he was, he probably would have been back now. I think if he comes back, I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, he's only back because, you know, Raymond's back." But I'm going to say no. No, I don't think he will.
I don't think he'll come back. I think if he wanted to, he could, and I think he's the one player that could come back after this much of a hiatus and play phenomenal. He's got the mental killer instinct still, in my opinion. You know. But he's done with, you know, competitive darts. I think he likes the exhibitions here and there and then goes and plays, but I don't know how much you got to see him play. I'm sure, you know, you got to watch him far more than I did, but I was always impressed with his, instincts. I like the players that, you know, look at someone who's down and they go for the jugular, they go for the win. I like that in sport. I like sportsmanship, you know, when someone's hurt or something, someone's stepping back. But one of the things I always liked about Phil Taylor is he's the guy that would pull the trigger. If you broke your leg, he would finish the match out and be like, sorry, you lost.
Yeah. Well, a great example was when he played Gary Anderson in the World Championship final, I think it was. And Anderson's 3 darts fell out the 180, the 3 out the treble 20. And then I think Phil went right up after him and hit a 180, like. And as you said, you know, just had that killer instinct to do it. Just not I'll throw these 3 off the board because he's had 3 bounce outs. He just you know, hurt him.
Yeah, he's like, here's how to stick them. Yours didn't. Mine will stick. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Have a nice day. I want to ask one other real quick question. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's afternoon for you and you got family and all that other stuff. But speaking of darts sticking, we see certain players that darts don't typically stick in the board. I look at people like Gerwin Price and like his points just barely stick into the board. Do you think that's the board, or do you think it's just that guys throw so light?
I've got, well, I say not a similar throw, but when my darts reach a board as well, they stick like that. That's how my darts come in. So obviously the bristles on the board are all straight. So rather than a dart going in, it's just going to slide right in the bristles. If it's coming this way, it's trying to work its way through the bristles, if that makes sense. So and I think that's why the points are just, you know, in and no more. Where if he threw that dart straight, it would probably go into there. You know, most of the point would disappear. But again, that's how I throw my darts. You know, they come down like that. They float into the board. Even though mine's are 28 grams, they still sometimes, you know, when they hit the board, they end up like that, hanging in and no more. But that's where, you know, again, I've got shots working on some fantastic grip on the end of my points to make sure that, you know, I don't have any fallouts, bounce outs, you know, whatever, and hopefully have a few more 60s in the board and not on the floor.
Yeah, I think bounce outs are just a part of the sport because you got that razor wire in the bristle. And, you know, your darts hit that razor wires. They come in at that angle and they just bring it out. You know, that's part of the game. But it's interesting to see, you know, like Gerwin Price, I bring him up because he drops his darts. He's like barely holding on to them. He drops them more than anybody else I see. Mm-hmm. You know, and I always wondered if his throw was just super light and that's why it happens. But it makes sense. It's the angle of entry that's putting his darts, you know.
Well, that's what I'm putting it down to because, as I said, my dart's going similar to his, and I think that's the reason behind it.
Yeah. So Super Series, 2 is coming up. You ready to get in there and mix it up with the guys? Do you leave in a couple of days, or how's that work?
Yeah, so I'll leave on Monday. I have about a 7 hour drive to get there. Obviously, I'm avoiding using any public transport because I can't take the risk of catching anything, not just for the darts, but for my family or whatever as well. So, I wouldn't do that. I'd just take the car no matter where it is. But yeah, looking forward. I feel a lot more confident going down this time than I did, obviously, the first Super Series, which I played okay, but not great. Same with the UK Open. I felt quite good for it. Christoph Kachuk, 4-ton plus checkouts against me. I was playing okay, 93 average or something. But I'm feeling good for this one. A couple more hours on the board, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm feeling a bit better this one.
I'm looking forward to watching you. Hopefully, you will get on the 2 boards that'll be on screen.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching my son, who's 7. He loves watching the darts. You can't see it behind me, but I got like 3 dart boards on the wall. We've got steel tip and soft tip, and so he gets into it. So we love watching, and we get up early and we'll watch. Like UK, I was getting up at 3 a.m. to watch darts. So we love it here in this household. Speaking of which, do your kids? Again, I don't want to keep you too long, but I could talk forever about darts. But do your kids play darts at all?
Well, my eldest son, Mackenzie, he used to play not any youth tournaments or anything, but just in the house. He used to play quite a lot. Recently, the last few months, he's played a bit more. I got him a new set of darts. Actually, a set of Dave Chisnell darts, and he loves Dave Chisnell. And I got him a set of them, and he's always been playing with them. He throws them, different stems and flights and whatever else. But he's getting in. He hasn't played maybe in the last couple of weeks, but for a good couple of months, every day he was having a good few hours, and he was even coming to me and saying, "Oh, Dad, my arm's sore." And I'm like, "That's because the muscles are working. It's you're building the memory muscle up, and that's good. In a few more months, you'll start seeing your improvement and stuff."
That's cool. That's nice. Yeah, my son's he goes through the spurts too. He'll play for hours. We'll play all day Sunday. When tournaments are on and I've got him on the TV, we'll sit out in the garage, which is where we play, and we'll play for hours on Sundays and just watch the finals. So 2 last questions. One, soft tip. Have you played it? What do you think about it?
I think, I played. We actually went on a lad's holiday. Me and 2 of my friends went away to Tenerife, and we were looking for local pub teams. And we went to this pub, and it was actually the night we had went was the night they were meant to be playing darts, but the pub was getting refurbished. So we had found a sports bar about a mile up the road from it, and they had a soft hit board. So we got some darts out and we were playing away. And my friend was absolutely brilliant. He was just wiping the floor with us all night. But again, as soon as you hit the board, it counts your score regardless if you get a bounce out or whatever. But I had a lot of bounces. Again, the way I throw the dart, it was obviously coming in, the entry to the board. So I was getting a lot of bounce outs with it. Because it's just like wee holes that it goes into, and he was getting a lot. But the points were snapping a lot. We're trying to change them. They were sticking in the board. I think there's a lot of mucking about, a lot of faffing about with it. It's not just throw your darts like steel tip, take them out, and then that's it. You go again. But it's all right, I suppose.
I know, Wayne Mardle thinks it's a child's game. He's changed his tune a little bit, but I know that he thinks it's more of a kid's platform or way of playing darts. Do you see, some? I mean, I know over in, here in America, it's a big sport. Over in Asia, it's a big sport. Do you think that the plastic pointed soft tip will ever take off over in Europe and the UK area?
I think with the UK, Europe possibly. In the UK, I think the darts is so big with steel tip, it would be quite hard for it to take over. But again, I've not really looked at the prices of these things, but I'm assuming they would maybe be a little bit more expensive than a normal board. So would somebody want to buy it just to try it out? If it was a thing that was introduced to pub darts and all that to start with, I think it would maybe take off. But personally, like, I run a league with a friend on a Monday night when the pubs are back open, but I wouldn't go out and buy 5 soft tip dartboards to say, right, we're going to try getting this introduced. I wouldn't do it. But because the steel tip's so big over here, I don't think it'll be that big, the soft tip over here.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way with you. I think steel tip's ingrained there. I will say soft tip boards do cost more. The technology that's in them, the ability to play people around the world, which is kind of a fun aspect. I can hop on the Nexus board or the Grand board, and I can play someone, in Scotland. I can play someone in Nigeria. There's a great group of players down in Nigeria that are phenomenal players. With that in mind, with Dart Connect being a big part of the PDC, do you ever jump on Dart Connect? I know that there are other pro players that'll just jump into the streams there and start playing players, whether they have a 40 average or 100 average or whatever. Do you ever have that opportunity?
I started playing a lot of online things, but I didn't enjoy it. It was, I think one time I'd maybe got to a final online, and I was playing a chap. I think it was a Saturday night or something, and there was like music. I was thinking it was Barbie Girl or something playing in the background, and I was like, "Oh, what?" I said, "What's that noise?" And he had said, "Oh, that's my partner. They're having a karaoke night with friends." And I was like, "Well, in the middle of playing a final, and that kind of put me off." And then I think the more I thought about it, the more games I played, I could hear dogs barking and kids running about. And I understand people's got families at home because we're in this situation, but it just put me off. You're waiting for him to throw 3 darts, and sometimes you don't hear it because there's like a glitch in the camera. So I'm like, "Oh, have you thrown your 3rd dart?" And he's like, "Oh, I've already done that." And then you're trying to get to the hockey, hurry up to the hockey to throw, and it is quite difficult. I didn't enjoy it, but I think if there's any more PDC things, I would play in that because it's done properly. But I don't think I'll play in any more online things. But I do play the NO1 darts just against the computer. I do that, and sometimes I'll even not competitions, but sometimes with Andy Bolton or a couple of other friends that we'll have a game online, but we'll just not do cameras, just done on trust. So I'll see his score coming through, pop my score in when I've went, and then he'll do the same, and then we just trust each other to put the correct scores in, and nobody's cheating, and which is good.
Well, and when you're playing friends, I mean, cheating doesn't do you any good to cheat.
Yeah. If he's cheating and he's scoring, 100, 140, 180 all the time, that's going to push me on. So that's good for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting because the online game has become such a big thing. I see a ton of it. If you go to Facebook, there's tournaments, there's playing constantly. There's a lot of pro players that are playing. I think there's good and bad to it. I think it in a way, we're going to see the online part of the game become something. You're going to have your online pros, and then you're going to have your PDC, your in-person, your championship darts circuit, champ darts here in America, which is kind of the offshoot of the PDC. You're going to have that, and then you're going to have this online aspect. The problem, though, with online, and we saw this this past year in PDC tournaments or like the lower tournaments, was the ability to cheat. And that's scary. My thought is, and I've thought about doing this with League, is get one of our A players, the players that are better than me, and have them come play for me. They would just throw the darts, and I'll just get the darts out of the board. So you see me.
Yeah, well, that's I know. No, but things like that happen. There's a lot of people who's having like 2-way cameras so they can see you throwing while you're also receiving your dart from the board. And I don't know. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. I completely understand that. There's pros and cons to it, and there's the background noise and the other issues that can come in that make it, you're doing it for practice, and you're trying to better your game. Other people are on there just to hang out and have a good time and converse with people and play darts. It's a totally different series. Yeah, completely understand. Well, Ryan, I don't want to take up any more of your time. It is your afternoon. You're got a couple of days until you take off, so you want to spend some time with family. Good luck in Super Series. I'll be rooting for you. Excited to do that. Another big shout out to Shot Darts, your sponsor. Glad that you're part of the team. Hope that all goes well and that you're able to get a barrel put together quickly. And I hope that I'll get an opportunity to review the barrel. But again, thank you so much for being on the show. Enjoy your time with family and then Super Series. Thanks again. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's perfect. Thanks for having me on. It's been good to speak to somebody new, and another wee interview and getting Shot Darts out there is good as well, and being with them. So, happy to take things forward and go from there. And yeah, I'll send you a review of the darts, and you can do whatever you like to do with them.
Yeah. No, just curious as to what your opinion and what the process is like. So
yeah, sure.
So yeah, Ryan, I appreciate it again. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I will talk to you later.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that conversation that I got to have with Ryan Murray, better known as Muzz Lightyear. Unfortunately, he did get bounced in round 1 this morning, but yesterday, again, he did get to 3rd round. Interestingly enough, I keep bringing up this concept and idea of having someone throw for me and then me just pull them out. And I don't know if people are just kind of walking over that one and just like, yeah, well, whatever, Matt. But I think I'm really going to do that one. So if anybody wants to come participate in some cheating scandals, just let me know. We'll get it set up. Of course, I'm joking, but I do see something like that potentially happening. I do want to just do a quick highlight here in regards to RVB. If you've been watching this episode and not paying attention, RVB, and I know Neil's mentioned this in the chat, did have a little bit of an issue. They think it's just potentially a diabetic type thing. He was not hospitalized. Paramedics came, took care of him on scene, and he went back to his hotel room for further monitoring. So no actual hospital thing. It's probably a blood sugar issue. He did lose first round and then was there, I believe it was marking, and it's evening time for them when they start doing this stuff. So depending on what he ate during the day, how his day was, he probably just wasn't very well prepared. But this is something that we should talk about as darts players, especially those that play more on a professional level or in that aspect that's much more competitive. And Dax, who may still be watching, I'm not sure, but it was in the comments, will certainly attest to this, making sure that you're keeping hydrated, that you've eaten properly. And that doesn't mean a bunch of junk food before going and playing. It means having a proper meal, the stuff that your body really needs nutritionally wise. It doesn't mean drinking a ton of alcohol and then going and playing. Alcohol will dehydrate you. So, taking care of oneself, and I know a lot of darts players may not look like they're the most healthy guys in the world, but if you've ever looked at the strongest man competition, those guys don't look super healthy either, and yet they're extremely healthy. So just want to give you guys a little bit update on RVB. It looks like he's going to be fine in regards to that. So play is back on over at pdc.tv. It has been a wonderful day hanging out with you guys, getting to hang out with Ryan. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview. And I will see you guys Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to talk some really cool stuff. We'll talk about darts that's been going on this week. We've got some more interviews lined up. I don't know that we'll have one ready for Tuesday morning, but you never know. And I got another girl power hour coming for you, power 2 hour coming for you, whatever that might end up being. Hey guys, I'm doing
There's something for you in the package probably out there.
Okay, there's a package out front for me. Thanks, guys. Hey, and thank you everyone for watching. I'm gonna land this plane. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend. Enjoy the darts. Hopefully you get some good practice in as well this weekend. Thanks again for watching. And don't forget to check out Shot Darts at shotdarts.com. Check out Magicwear, magicwear.com. Condor Flights at Trinidad, because because they are manufactured by Trinidad, and you can always pick up a set of the B52s over at Atomic Darts. If you do run over there and notice that the coffee's not up, there was a little bit of an issue with my coffee distributor, which is a local company here. That's all being taken care of, and coffee will be back at some point. But we just had to take it down for a little bit, and it'll be back up. But like if you'd placed an order right now, it might be a month before you get it, and that's why we had to pull down for a bit. But in any case, thanks again for watching, guys. See you Tuesday. Oh, and I got a ton of reviews that are in the bucket that I just got to finish cutting up and getting over to my editor. So look for those coming. Like I just did a review on the Cool Flights by Viper GLD and some other cool items as well. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. See you Tuesday.